Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salalo Makwidir. The time is 9:15 a.m. Central African time, and we're still coming to you live from our Johannesburg studios on a beautiful, crisp, warm Wednesday morning. And we're going to be switching gears now to a very, very important turn of events. It is being called the largest maritime mission yet to break Israel's blockade on Gaza, the global Sumud Flotilla, which has set sail from Barcelona, carrying humanitarian activists, doctors, educators, politicians, journalists, and faith leaders from 44 countries across 6 continents. Their mission, simple: to deliver food, medicine, and solidarity to over 2 million people trapped under siege in Gaza. But the flotilla is already facing threats as expected. There are threats of interception from Israel and accusations of terrorism from far-right ministers in Netanyahu's government and cabinet. And despite all of this, morale remains high on board. Activists say they will not be stopped. And among those preparing to join this historic voyage is Dr. Fatima Hendricks. She's a South African occupational therapist. She's an educator. She's an author, and she's a breast cancer survivor, and is currently waiting in Tunisia to embark and join and be part of this very, very historic flotilla. Sumud, it is called. And she's also a member of the Health Workers for Palestine here in South Africa. And we'll be talking to her about her decision to be part of this flotilla, the preparations that she has undergone, and most importantly, as a South African, why was it so important for her to be a part of it? Doc, assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah so much for joining us. Welcome to News and Views. Really appreciate you giving us the time this morning.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Beautiful brother Salelo and all the wonderful supporters and listeners of Salam Media. Really good to be here from Tunisia, all the way chatting to South Africa.
No, the pleasure is all ours. And I want to jump right into it. You are in Tunisia right now. You're waiting to, board and become part of that historic flotilla. Take us into this moment. What does it feel like sitting in Tunisia at the moment and waiting to be part of a very, very historic move that shows, I think, one of the greatest signs and displays of solidarity with the people of Palestine at the moment?
There's an incredible atmosphere of hope, of courage and determination in the air. And I really think that they could not have thought of a better name than other than the global Sumud Flotilla, because Sumud means steadfastness. And, for all of the decades, we've been witnessing the steadfastness of the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank and other places in occupied Palestine. And we've been in admiration of that. But the fundamental question is really, where is the Sumud of the international community as we resist, as we engage in direct nonviolent action to break the illegal siege of Gaza? And therefore, the global Sumud flotilla is that initiative of courage, of steadfastness by the international community to break this illegal and immoral siege of Gaza so that we can get humanitarian aid to the beautiful people in Gaza.
Let's talk preparations. As I was doing my research, I read quite a bit about the previous flotillas, some of the dangers that they faced while at sea, and even lives being lost essentially. Just from a psychological perspective, just before everything else, how do you bring yourself to potentially facing that reality that I might not come back from this?
Absolutely. I think intentionality is really the point of departure, the reason as to why each one of us are really showing up in this way. We fully understand the high risk and dangerous nature of this particular mission. We have a history where the Mavi Mavara, where 10 activists were killed. We see the one boat being previously bombed. We've seen activists taken, kidnapped in international waters illegally, held at Ashdod, and then deported. So we understand these risks. Apart from the baseline of spiritual preparation, there's a layer of mental health preparation. mission. And so a lot of the boat crew members have undergone mental health awareness training, mental health first aid training. So that's really an important part of staying focused on the mission, what to do when we're actually on board, and we are faced with threats and dangers, and how to actually work in a stranger environment where very few of the boat crew members are actually going to have met before we actually step onto the boat. It'll be the very first time that we will meet each other. So how do we work together, and how do we make sure that this mission is a success, that in the way that each one of us show up fully present and dedicated with all that we have to ensure the success.
From a South African perspective, our country has already done so much to show its solidarity with the people of Palestine. The ICJ case comes to mind, the protests that are almost daily, in the streets of South Africa all over. Did that, become that extra kind of motivation that you from a country like South Africa, with the history that we have and how unequivocal we've been when it comes to our support for the cause of the Palestinian people, that you felt an extra sense of responsibility, hence being part of this voyage?
I think there's 3 buckets here that I'd like to talk about. The first one is a faith-based motivation, where we really have a duty around the preservation of life, to stand up for justice, and stand against injustice anywhere. And the second part of that story is about the South African story, where South Africa and Palestine and the aspirations for liberation are so closely aligned and embedded with each other that they really are a motivating factor. However, I do want to say that even though the ICJ case is going ahead, sterling work is being done for that, and a lot of efforts are coming into fruition in terms of maybe the Defense Force members that are in South Africa, etc. But I do want to say that we actually have to do a whole lot more as South Africa. We still have illegal trade, immoral trade with Israel. We have the issue of coal, of diamonds, of what is happening with the IOF members that have served in the forces and that are now present in South Africa. So that's really important to bear in mind. And the third part of that motivating factor is the personal one. I'm an occupational therapist. I was paralyzed before. I was on life support for 30 days. I was in ICU for 40 days. I was in hospital for 4 months, rehab for 18 months. I had to learn to walk again, talk again, breathe again. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I've done chemotherapy. And so I really look at this genocide and I see it as a mass disabling event by design. I mean, we've had fellow healthcare workers, over 1,400 healthcare workers, like Reem Abu Lebda, who was a physiotherapist who was killed in Khan Yunis, let alone to say Hussam Abu Safia from Kamal Abu Adwan Hospital, who is currently still held hostage in the Israeli jails. So, there have been there's the Rafah paramedic massacre that has happened. I mean, the amount of illegal and gross violations of human rights, it seems to just fall on deaf ears, and especially in the area of disability rights. Because imagine being in a situation where you're told there's an evacuation order, but you are someone with you are a person with a disability. That evacuation order, in as random and as meaningless as they are, really is not really effectual for you, because you're unable to mobilize to evacuate. So people with existing disabilities are really on the back end of gross violations in terms of their rights, and let alone the highest number of people with disabilities, highest number of amputees that are currently located anywhere in the world. I mean, so the story is really shockingly vast when it comes to healthcare issues in relation to this genocide.
No, most definitely. And I think that's an aspect that we don't talk about much, that there are people with disabilities who are also, trying to navigate this genocide, trying to survive this genocide on a daily basis. And it's just one factor that we don't focus on. And thank you so much for that. Let's talk about, we spoke about the psychological aspect of it, and the preparation thereof, the mental health aspect of it, the psyching yourself up for it. From a physical point of view, what kind of training are you guys given? How are you preparing and getting yourself prepared for the eventualities that might come, whether it's engagement with the IDF or drone attacks or anything like that?
A really key part of this is around preparation in terms of gear. When we're on a boat in a very confined space, we've got to make sure that we have the right gear. Very limited gear can be taken onto the boats. So we have really had to plan very carefully and thoughtfully about what we carry on board. The second part of this is also around making sure that we eat well before we get onto the boats, because we will be cooking for ourselves and feeding each other, helping to feed the crew in meal preps and taking turns to do that. So making sure that we have enough nutrition going in, because the kind of nutrition that we might get on board and on interception might not be the same as we're used to. Another part of this is seasickness. It's a very real experience. So the boats that have left from Barcelona, they had to return because of stormy weather, but a lot of the crew were actually reporting on the initial stages of seasickness and really feeling, nauseous in relation to the great, motion on the sea. So we are making sure that we're taking medical supplies. There will be a medical boat that will be accompanying, obviously, that is in the flotilla as well. And then the other part of this is to make sure that we're engaging in, regular walking, and hydration is really important, because the weather has been really, really hot. So dehydration is a factor that we need to consider.
Mm, mm, mm. One thing that was, kind of concerning for me, and I think this was expected, is that Israel's National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, has already labeled flotilla volunteers, yourselves, He says you guys are terrorists, and he's threatened arrests. How do you prepare mentally for that, just for that kind of hostility and going right towards it?
Well, the thing is, we're a non-violent movement. We're a direct non-violent. This Global Sumud Flotilla is direct non-violent action. And it is built on a non-violent action that we are very, very familiar with in South Africa. For example, in 1956, where women got to the streets to protest the pass laws. Women were carrying babies, they were dressed in their cultural attire, and really protesting the apartheid laws. So, and around the globe, there are ample examples of successful nonviolent initiatives. So we understand very clearly that what our moral imperative is in relation to this particular mission. And we stand with what we say and what our objectives are. What the occupying power says, well, they're an occupying power, so we take it from where they come.
No, I think that's very, very powerful. Let's talk about family. I've spoken to a few volunteers who are going to be part of the flotilla. They've mentioned that there's been, fear, from their family members, a bit of uncertainty. And granted, the state of affairs, unfortunately, is that. From your perspective, family, your loved ones, when you told them that, I'll be making my way to international waters, to Palestine, essentially, how did they receive those news?
So I have a beautiful husband, Dr. Tayo Suleiman, who's an orthopedic surgeon himself, a Nigerian-born, practicing in Cape Town, South Africa. He's here with me in Tunisia.
Oh,
There was
brilliant.
Yes, he's been my absolute support, helping out with getting me ready with the preparations. And there has been absolutely no resistance from any of my family members, just full support. Because I think we really understand that this mission is greater than any individual aspiration or any individual feelings. This is really a global call for ordinary people from around the world to stand in Sumud, to take up the call for selfless sacrifice in nonviolent direct action to end and break the siege on Gaza in whichever capacity that people can do. So there's a huge base around the world of friends that I know and friends that I don't know that have provided and continue to provide support in du'as, in well-wishing messages, in getting to the streets. And we really are going to need this base of support, because when we are intercepted and when we are taken, kidnapped in international waters and held in Israel, we will be needing this base of support to rally the embassies, to rally and mobilize for our release. And so this is really, really important for people to understand that we're in it together. This is a global Sumud Flotilla made up of everybody's aspirations to end and break the siege, the illegal and immoral siege of Gaza.
Mm, mm, mm. How do you respond to the naysayers, and they'll definitely always be there, who are saying, flotillas and other engagements and initiatives like this one are largely symbolic. They don't do anything for the lived and true realities of the people of Gaza at the moment. There's no way that a few ships can carry enough aid for almost 2 million people. And they're just shooting the whole thing down, saying, people that are there want to be seen, they want to be celebrities, they want to trend, they want to be on Twitter and Instagram and be seen. How do you respond to that? Because it's coming out quite strongly from the other side, as expected.
As expected. Look, this global Sumud flotilla began in 2006. Yesterday, we listened to and met Greta, who was part of the first global movement to Gaza. Flotillas have been sent. I think over 37 or 38 fleets have already gone. Some have successfully reached. The point here is to get aid, yes, to Gaza, but it is to maintain, open up, to break the siege and open up a humanitarian sea corridor. Okay, so that's really important. When we have a corridor, we're able to get aid in a sustainable way to the shores of Gaza. Yes, we're carrying food. Yes, we're carrying medicine. Yes, we're carrying supplies, much needed supplies, of course. But the long-term strategy is to have and it has been for all of the flotillas up to this point and the future flotillas. Hopefully there won't be any future flotillas because we would have established this humanitarian sea corridor. But the point is, it's a corridor that we want to set up in breaking the siege in international waters to reach the shores of Gaza. People, for example, we had a drought in Cape Town, South Africa, right? And people used to go and make dua for rain, right? But the question is, how many people, when they went to make Salatul Istisqa, took an umbrella, right? So here we are. We have to believe in the power of dua. We have to believe that our efforts are pure. We've a lot of people. Our intentions are pure. A lot of people have are making Quran khatams, khatmul Qurans. Three have been completed from my side. We've got, I left on Saturday from a vicar to go directly to the airport. So the important point here is purification of the heart for each of the people that are going on this boat crew, to know that are going on the boat, on the flotilla, is to know that we're centering the Palestinian people, Palestinian voices. And this is about Palestinians' liberation. This is about Palestinians' right to access humanitarian aid in this point, in this ghastly genocide. And we are merely just tools. It could be anyone. It could be you or me on this boat. That's irrespective. It doesn't matter who it is. The point is that the objective is greater than any individual person here. The
No.
collective is greater.
No, most definitely. Just lastly, before I let you go, if you have a message, to South Africans, a message for all of the people that are listening and watching the world over as you're about to embark on this historic journey, very, very important journey, what would that message be?
It's a beautiful message of hope and love. This global Sumud Flotilla comes out of a place of deep love and care of humanity. When the dark forces are trying to dehumanize us, when the dark forces are trying to use all of the evil at their disposal to dehumanize the Palestinian people in Gaza, we have to raise up in light and in love in all of our efforts of direct nonviolent action for the success of the global Sumud Flotilla. So we really are counting on you to show up in beautiful ways, in loving ways for the Palestinian people in Gaza. On a small note, I'm not an Islamic scholar. I'm an ordinary person. I'm a mom of two. I'm just like you. So may God accept all of our little efforts, and cumulatively, we are stronger than we think. Thank you so much.
There you have it there. I think, yeah, very, very powerful message. We'll definitely be trying to keep in touch with you here on Salam Media. I think your message is very, very motivational. I'm feeling refreshed speaking to you. I'm feeling motivated, and this comes at a time where it feels really difficult. It feels dark for the people of Palestine and those that are in solidarity with them. And I think it's people like you and everyone that is on that flotilla that gives us hope that something can be done. Really appreciate it, Doc.
Thank you so much. I'll be wearing the t-shirt of Mariam Abu Dhaka and her son Ghaib. I have a 13-year-old myself and a 22-year-old. And so I'll be wearing her t-shirt throughout the voyage. She's a photojournalist that was killed, a beautiful sister. And so this is in memory of her.
No, that's beautiful. Jazakallah so much, Dr. Fatima Hendricks. We hope that we talk to you, I think, once you land or while you're in international waters. It'll be a pleasure to get that real-time kind of, response from you and how you soaking up the whole journey. Really appreciate it.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
There you go. That was Dr. Fatima Hendricks, South African occupational therapist, author, and activist. She's currently preparing to join the historic Sumud Flotilla, the largest civilian attempt to yet again try break Israel's blockade on Gaza. And as you might have expected, there are already threats of interceptions. Those are mounting. There are threats that those that are on the flotilla should be arrested and be classified as terrorists. And people like Fatima Hendricks, just a mother, South African like you and I, a sister, someone that is full of love, someone that's passionate about human rights and the cause of Palestinians. There are talks in the high echelons of Israel's parliament that she should be labeled as a terrorist. That on its own should tell you everything that you need to know about the people that we're dealing with, about the apartheid Israeli government and what they stand for and how they treat everyone else that doesn't look like them, that doesn't sound like them, and that doesn't agree with them. So we'll be following the flotilla quite closely, and you can get all the updates right here on Salam Media. Otherwise, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with you after this.